What's up, guys? Welcome back to DeeterPlays. So in this video, we're going to make a beginner's guide here for Loomian Legacy. So if you're probably the first time playing Loomian Legacy, or if you got some questions about how some things work, or you think it's a little bit confusing, there's a whole lot of stuff to learn in this game. So I'm just going to give you a little basics 101 about the game, how to play it, what all these things mean up here, and just a little bit of advice and everything so you can help play this game and just understand what's going on. So we're going to get just into the first subject. What is Loomian Legacy? You guys are probably wondering, this feels a little bit like Pokemon. It's very similar to Pokemon. We could say that it is Pokemon inspired pretty much. So we have these little creatures. These are called Loomians, and we are in this town where we can catch Loomians, we can train them, we can make them level up, and we can have them battle against each other, and we can make our way through different battle theaters and basically keep growing and moving along in the game. So one question that you guys are probably wondering is, how do I catch Loomians? Loomians can be found in the wild. The first Loomian that you're going to get here inside of the game, the very first one, you're going to go here to the Loomian laboratory, and you're going to kind of get taught a little bit of information from your mom, a little bit of that stuff, but I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. Basically, you get to pick your first Loomian. So, a question: what is the best Loomian starter to pick? So I would recommend, when you come in here and you do get to pick your Loomian starter, I would go with this guy right here, the Snow Cub. So why the Snow Cub? Now, the first part of the game here, before you go to the first battle theater, you're going to be encountering a lot of plant type, a lot of bug type, a lot of that stuff, and the ice is pretty strong against most of the things that you're going to encounter. So if you want to knock down that stuff pretty fast, then usually the Snow Cub is a good way to go, and you're going to level him up along the way. Some more advice for just getting through the first gym, guys. You got the Snow Cub. Make sure you catch some of the different ones that you encounter. You will be given some discs right here. You're wondering how to catch these. So what we have in the game is Loomian discs. Here, I'm going to go to items. We're going to go over this a little bit more, but when you go through this tutorial, your mom, you battle her, you get some free discs. Right here is a capture disc. There's more discs and different types of discs that you can get later on in the game, but these are just like Pokemon balls. You use those to catch them. Basically, if in the beginning, when you come back here in the laboratory, there's these little crates, and there's some hidden crates like this throughout the entire game that you can get yourself some free items, but you can get some discs there for free, and you can also buy them in certain towns at the Loomian centers. So we're going to show you how that whole thing works once we get to that little area. But as far as catching Loomians, you need to encounter them. Usually the encounters that you have are going to be in the wild. There's certain areas where you're going to go where you're not going to have encounters. Like right here in Midas Town, there's no bushes and there's none of that stuff where you will encounter Loomians. But as soon as you go across this bridge, see how there's this stuff over here? There's all this different type of brush that you can see. Once you're walking through that, you have a chance of having an encounter. So you're going to encounter a Loomian. So wondering how to catch the Loomians, I would recommend when you, in the very beginning, you're going to encounter some low level Loomians. And if you start out, you've got low level, you might be able to fight them and do one or two hits on them. If you have one with the move spared, then that's the better way to go. But to catch these, over here in items, you're going to go to items, and you're going to use one of your capture discs that you have. So again, you're going to get some free ones in the very beginning. Use those to catch some of these, and make sure that you have these Loomians here in your inventory. Now this one I don't have to worry about. I'm going to run. But when you encounter a Loomian, you have just a couple choices here. You can fight, you can use an item, you can run away, or you can choose another Loomian in your Loomi deck. Now, in your Loomi deck, you've got basically 7 of them here. 2 of them are going to be benched, though. But the ones that are benched, they're basically observing, and they're gaining more experience from what they're learning from watching what all these other ones are doing. Now, these ones, you can actually get a charm that makes it so you have experience points that go to all of them, but that is a specific charm that you get at the store. So here, you can come and pick a different Loomian that you'd like to go into the battle if that's what you would prefer. Now I'm going to just run away from this one because we're just doing a little bit of a demonstration, but that is how you catch the Loomians. You want to use the Loomian discs, and that is also how you battle. The big question is, how do I do the battling? Now battling inside of this game, pretty simple. Basically, all you have to do, you have an encounter, you see something and you want to take it out. Each time you take something out, you're going to get some training points as well. So to battle, you just go to fight, and usually you have up to 4 moves that you can use. You've also got over here, you've got your health, and you've got your energy. Now, each one of these moves here is going to cost a certain amount of energy. That's what EC means. EC is energy cost. So if I use the move Oppress, then that is going to cost it's going to subtract 44 from my total of 193 energy that I've got on this dusket right now. Now, if you are in a battle and you guys still haven't died yet, then you are out of energy. Then what you have to do is either wait or rest. If you wait, what it's going to do is it's just going to wait out its turn, and you will get a small amount of energy back. Now, if you rest instead, what you do is you let your guard down. So you're going to rest a little bit, your guard's down, your defenses are a little bit lower, but you're going to get more energy. So if you can time it at a time that you think that they're going to use dodge, or that you think that they're going to have to rest as well, then that might be a good time. But if you run out of energy, just make sure you rest so that you can get some more of that energy, or wait. If you only need like one move to hit and finish them, then you can just use wait, because you might not need as much energy and you can just finish them off that way. But if you're going to need a little bit more and the battle's going to take a little bit longer, then I would recommend rest. I know you let your guard down, which kind of makes you a little bit more susceptible to being hurt a little bit more and a little bit more vulnerable, but that's kind of what you got to do sometimes. But you got to decide whether you want to wait or rest when your energy is out. So let's say it looks right here, return to sender seems like a good one, but it's a mine type, and that just returns something that they send to me. So that doesn't seem like a good one to use, but usually see these green arrows and blue arrows, that's an indication that is a really strong move. Now, if it is a orange arrow or a red arrow pointing down, that means that is a weak move, or it is a move that the other opponent is strong against. So it's not going to do much damage. You may want to change out or something, because there's a chance that they've got a move that is strong against you. So here, for the example for this fight, we're going to use Spectral Burst. I'm losing some of the energy costs from that. It took one hit to take out this Tweelot, so the Tweelot fainted. Basically, if it does not faint, though, what it can do is it can turn around and it can battle against you. There are certain Loomians that are stronger against other Loomians, certain Loomians that are weaker against certain Loomians. Now, here is a little table right here that you can take a quick look at, and it says basically which ones are kind of strong. If it has half, fire versus fire, it's going to be half as effective if you try to use a fire move against a fire type, or even a water type. Or if you try to use a fire move against a light type, it's not going to be very effective. But if you try to use a fire move against a plant type, or an ice type, or a dark type, or a metal type, then that is going to be pretty effective. Okay, more tips on getting through this first area if you are a beginner. This is Chessman Town. You move forward just a little bit. There's a couple different areas that you can go to. Now, over here, if you take a left, that is Route 2. We don't want to go there just yet, because we can't really go past a certain point. Now, some things that you do want to know, straight ahead, that is the Gale Forest. You're going to want to go through there. There's part of the storyline that you have to go through there before you can actually get through Route 2. Now, this right here, this is one of the Loomian centers where you can come and you can heal your Loomians, and you can also buy some stuff. Now, right here, these little kiosks right here, if you click on that, you can rest your Loomians, and it will make all of their ailments go away, and it will restore all of their health. So this is a good way. If you're close, don't use your potions and anything, and we'll talk about potions. Now, this right here, this Loomian kiosk allows you to group your Loomians, and you can look at what you've got in stock, where you've got them. You can switch them, you can move them around, but basically that is where you've got all of your Loomians that you've caught. If you've caught them and you've already got a full case of Loomians benched and ready, then they will just go directly to your Loomian care boxes. Now, this guy over here, if you talk to him, he can sell you some goods. So he's going to come over here. You can buy capture discs from him. Now, when you go through and you just defeat Loomians, you will get some of these. You will actually, through different battles, you will make some of the money, the Loomian dollars, I guess is what we can call them. You can also buy them with Robux if you choose to, but you can use those Loomian dollars to get capture discs, medications. You can get potions and antidotes, repellent, and wisp bottles, which is something we're not really going to go into too much, because we're just going over some of the basics for you guys right now. So that is what you need to do if you have these Loomian care centers. All of the towns have one of those. Now, if you've started the game, a lot of people go left and they head to Route 2. Don't do that. Go to Gale Forest. Then you're going to have to go through Gale Forest, and there's this whole storyline. You're going to talk to this old man over here. You're going to go through. You're going to battle. You're going to keep going forward, and you're going to make it to the end. You're going to encounter one of these guys, a Dusket, which is the first roaming that you're going to find, which is basically similar to legendary types in Loomian Legacy. So a question is, how do I trade? Another question that people wonder about. Now, you cannot trade until after you have defeated the first battle theater. So the first battle theater, you have to come through here. You have to kind of go out through Route 2, and after you've gone through the Gale Forest, I would recommend come back through here, and basically there's a battle theater way down the line. Once you go through and you get to the first battle theater, then let me give you a few pointers for what you need to do over there. Now, once you have made it through and you've gotten past some of those other encounters and you've made it here to Sylvan City, this is where you're going to encounter the first battle theater. So in order to do the battle theater, see this guy on the left? I've already done the battle. I've already won the battle theater, so it won't let me in there right now. So if you want to, guys, what to do is go in there, make sure you've got in your Loomian deck, just make sure you've caught some of the Loomians that you've encountered along the way, some of the plant type, some of the bug type, because there is a dark type, there's a eclectic that you're going to encounter, which is the last thing that you're gonna have to battle, and that is pretty weak against, I think, the bug type and some other types over there. So have those in your inventory, and then also have your snow cub, or if it's evolved and you've got a Snowkey, even better. So you should do pretty well, but make sure you've stopped at that guy at the Loomian Center and you've actually purchased yourself some of the meds, because you never know, you might need some meds. So in your items, in medicines, you make sure that you purchase at least some small meds, so you've got those ready to go, and if you need those during the battle, then make sure you use those. But the first battle theater isn't too difficult, but once you do that, you can finally go into trading. You will be able to access the trade area, and if you have some friends that already play the game, then everything should be a little bit easier at this point, because you can probably get some pretty strong Loomians that will make the future battle theaters a lot easier for you. So in order to trade, what you have to do is here where it says navigate, you come over to hubs, and we're going to go over the details of all of these things here a little bit later. But if we go here to Trade Resort, see that right there? Trade Resort. This is how you do a trade. All right, now once you're here inside of the Trade Resort, it's pretty simple. You've got these kiosks if you want to access anything. Anything that you want to trade, if it's right here in your bench or if you're holding on to it, you're not going to be able to trade anything from there. So it has to be in one of your Loomian boxes. So make sure you arrange your Loomians accordingly. Guys, don't get scammed. There's some information here about trading. Make sure that you guys don't, trade anything for real money. Don't use a middleman. Make sure that you know that anything that you trade is going to be gone, and just don't try to let anybody scam you. Sometimes people will try to scam others, unfortunately, when it comes to this game. But when you want to trade with somebody, you can either click on them inside of the game, or you can just find their name here on the right side. You can do a trade with them, and let's see, we can send a trade request to somebody, or they can send a trade request to you. Basically, what you would do is if you wanted to send a trade request to somebody else, you go right there, you click send to send a trade request, and then they're going to see something down here in the trade request that says that there's a trade request from them to you. Once you see a red one like that and there's a trade request, the person who wants to accept it, they accept the request, and then the other person who sent the request, it says they are ready to trade. Would you like to trade? And then you come in here and you can just take these items and you can just say you want to give one away to somebody. That person's got a bunch of fan cubs. I'm just going to try to give them, no, I could let them keep it. So to do the trade, you take your Loomian, you move it over here. These ones you can just show, but these ones are the offer and will actually be a part of the trade. You click on ready on the bottom, the other clicks ready, and then you guys both click trade. And then once you guys have both clicked trade, you can see right here, it is going to do the trade of whatever Loomians you guys have put up there for the trade. So again, guys, watch out for anybody who might be trying to scam you, trying to get any gleanings or anything from you. All right, now moving on, we're going to get onto some of the more complex stuff, the things up here. Now, the first thing here is the Loomians. There's a lot of information here connected to your Loomians. So there's the ID, there's the personality, there's all this stuff, there's things in the battle, there's things in the trading. It's so hard to keep it all straight, but I'm going to explain all this to you. So the ID, of course, that's just going to be random, but it's going to say whoever caught it. If someone says, can I get your OT, they're talking about your original trainer. So this is the original trainer who actually caught this Loomian. Now the personalities right here, this one here is hyper and clumsy. I'm going to explain these personality traits to you with the help of this table right here. So this is the personality table. This whole thing right here is I've made this spreadsheet. There's some information here about training, PvP, the base stats, different types, also personality table, evolution guide. This is something I'm going to put for a link in the description here for the video. This is really helpful. Will help you with PvP. If you guys are wondering what, say, Vesperado pops up against you and you're doing PvP, you want to know what it's strong against, you want to know what it's weak against, this will give you that information and just kind of lays it out in a straightforward and easy way. But going to the personality type. Now, these personality types, when you encounter a Loomian in the wild, it's going to have random personality types. Now, the Dusket has an ability to have an encounter, like when it encounters something in the wild, it has a high chance of being the same personality type as that. So if you have a Dusket that is pure nimble, then the chances are you can go and you can do some searching and hunting some Loomians, and a lot of those that you encounter will be pure nimble, and that's a good way to try to influence that. Another way is rallying. Now, we're going to go over the details of rallying. That's the best way to try to set your personality types, and we're going to show you how to do that as well. But right now we're wondering what these mean. Now, we've got different stats here. We've got energy, we've got melee attack, we've got melee defense, range attack, range defense, and speed. Now, these are pretty self-explanatory. We've talked about the energy costs. Each Loomian, some of them are stronger with like close range attacks, so that is melee attacks, and some of them are stronger with ranged attacks, so from further away. Also, there's a speed factor. Some of them are going to go first because they've got more speed. But there's these different types of personality traits. Now, we could see that this one that I had right here, it was hyper and clumsy. So the hyper and clumsy, that means its energy is going to be plus 10%, but it's clumsy, so its ranged attack is going to be minus 10%. So it's kind of like, what do you want for your Loomian? Now, trying to get this stuff set up, you want to know what's the best one. Now, a lot of people just ask that, like, what is the best personality trait? And that really depends on the Loomian. Different Loomians have their strengths and weaknesses, but basically, hyper, dull, that is going to be more or less on the energy, brawny and frail, that's more or less on the melee attack. Melee defense is robust and tender. Smart and clumsy, that is plus or minus on ranged attack. Clever and foolish, that's plus and minus on ranged defense. And for speed, it's nimble versus sluggish. So they pretty much make a lot of sense. Now, when you're doing some rallying, there's options. We can use these totems. We're going to show you how that works. And you can actually get personality traits that are very brawny, very robust. You can have very sluggish, very nimble, but very frail, very tender, but that makes it minus 20%. But generally what you're doing with those, you can have 2 positive personality traits and 1 really negative one. Or you can have 1 really positive personality traits and then 2 negative personality traits. So that's how those totems work, and we're going to kind of go into those details when we talk a little bit more about rallying. But at this point, we're just trying to cover what these things mean here inside of this. Now, over here, these base stats here, you can look at those, but we've already got that information here. This basically will change depending on the level that you've got. But when you're in battles, usually they kind of make them the same level, level 50 or level 100. So we're going to talk about that stuff. Right here on this tab where it says battle, everybody's got an ability. Now, this one has harmonize, which means when it's inflicted with a burn or poison paralysis on an opponent's move, the opponent is obliged to be inflicted too. So also, a lot of these Loomians will have something here that says SA, like secret ability. So there's different ones that you can get that are lower chances but are more useful in PvP. Then of course it lists all of your different moves that you've got. As they level up, they learn more moves that are are stronger than other moves. So leveling up definitely makes your Loomian a little bit stronger, but you can switch these moves around from the battle theater later on. Now the training, this is the really confusing part that a lot of people are just like get really lost on. So you know how we talked earlier, there's the health, your overall health, there's your energy, there's the melee attack and defense, there's the range attack and defense, and there's the speed. So out of those, every Loomian has a certain number of base stats. So the base stats, those are just going to be what they are, and for any particular Loomian. So this level 30 Dusket, if I show another Dusket, similar level, it's going to be basically the same. 74, 100, 100, 81, 105. I've got another Dusket here, so this is the level 33 one, and you can see those base stats, 74, 100, 100, 81, 105. Those are exactly the same. So these basically talk about the base stats for this particular type of Loomian. So in this example, we can see that the Dusket itself, pretty strong when it comes to speed, pretty strong when it comes to melee attack and ranged attack, so it's got potential to do really good at both. Pretty same levels for melee and ranged defense. Energy is pretty good. Health is not that great. So the fact that its health is low, speed is high, generally you want to try to make one of these fast and emphasize that strength so that you guys can go first in a battle and you don't have to try to handle something. Now, some of them that are slower are going to have higher health and probably higher defense so that they can actually take a hit. But this one is more of a offensive and speed Loomian. But you can see these are kind of similar, so you can kind of decide whether you want to make it a melee attacker or a ranged attacker. But each Loomian kind of has their own strengths and their own weaknesses. Now, the personality types that you want to pick kind of depends on what their strengths and their weaknesses are. So, for example, right here, the Sedimars, speed is super low. Like, this thing is not going to go first, so there's really no point in trying to make it like nimble, because it's not really going to do much to help you out. And if it ends up sluggish, it's really not that big a deal, because it was probably going to go last anyways. Now, you can see that the ranged attack on this really low. 47, 76. So 47 versus the melee attack, which is almost twice as much. So this is definitely going to be a melee attacker in PvP, a much stronger melee attacker. So this is one that we would probably want to have personality type, so it had high melee attack and maybe even try to boost some defense a little bit, or maybe even boost the health or the energy. Actually, I'm thinking those personality types are not as easy to find. But yeah, so you want to kind of look at what their base stats are, and the personality types that you pick, you want to try to emphasize the strengths. Now, people go with different strategies. Some people will try to go nimble across the board. So if you go up against another set of Mars, your set of Mars will go first. But still, I would switch something out and try to go with something that would be faster than that anyways. So that is the base stats. And again, each of these have their own base stats, and they have their own strengths and their own weaknesses. For example, we'll look at the Mutagon. Pretty strong, looks like it can take a hit, especially a melee hit. Looks like it's going to be a melee hitter. Not very good at melee attack. Now, you may want to have a personality type that makes the range defense go up, so that this thing can handle a hit from something that is using ranged attacks, because right now that is pretty low, but the health is pretty high, so it should be able to handle a hit pretty well. Speed, not that great. There's some things that are going to go slower, some things that are going to go faster. So you got to know your strengths, know your weaknesses, set up your moves. Like if you end up like this guy right here, he's a melee attacker. We would probably want to pick moves that are all melee type of attacks, so he will be more strong. We want to emphasize those strengths in PvP and in battle. So now talking about the next stuff right here, UP. Now these are unique points. The ones that you encounter in the wild are just going to have different unique points. They're just different. Now, in rallying, we can try to impact these unique points, and again, trying to get all of these up to 40. 40 is the max. There's different ways. You can use shards. We're going to talk a little bit more about shards and what those do. So you can increase the shards, with the shards. But these are just, you can encounter a Mutagon over and over and over, and they're all going to have different UP stats. It's unique points, and it's unique to that Loomian you find. If you get some with like all 40 across the board, boom, you just won the lottery. Usually some of them don't usually have that. But then in order to get all 40, again, we have to do rallying. Now the next one is TP. This is training points. Each Loomian that you encounter, when you beat it, it will give you a certain type of training point. Also, when you go up and you battle against different trainers, they will give you certain kinds of training points as well. There's different places where you can get these training points. Again, my little spreadsheet that I made for you is going to help you learn how to do that. But over here in the Rally Ranch, once you get over here, this is where you can do the rallying, and also this is where you can do a lot of TP training, because each of these are very specific on, each one that you encounter here is specific on a certain TP that you can actually help train your trainer. So the overall stats of any particular Loomian is going to be the base stats, the UP stats, and the TP stats. For the TP, you can get up to 500, so a lot of people will distribute them however they want. Some people will give a certain amount of energy depending on their moves, so they have enough to do like an extra move if they have to, and then sometimes they'll distribute them in defense, sometimes they'll put them there in speed. It really depends on what the strategy is, but again, usually the training points that people go for, they want to emphasize even more whatever they emphasized here with the personality traits, because if you get something that's like a really good melee attacker, and you've got a personality trait for that to be strong, you've got your UP stats for that to be strong, and if your TP stats for that to be strong, then that's going to be probably pretty good in battle. Okay, so I know that was a lot, but that's basically what you've got going on here with this tab. So this next tab here is for mastery. So trainer mastery, this one's pretty simple. As you gain your mastery points, then you just level up. Right now, the current highest level I can get to is 74. So you guys this is part of leveling up. Now to get those points to level up your trainer mastery, over here in Loomian mastery, now this is where you can have different Loomians. Every single Loomian has a certain set of things that you have to accomplish in order to get the mastery to 100%. For example, let's see, we can go all the way up here, right here. Discover all the evolutionary stages, earn a certain amount of experience, rally a certain number of them, and knock out Loomians. So you basically have to go and use these Loomians in order to get their mastery to go up. Most of these are pretty much self-explanatory. Earn experience, rally 50 of them. There's not really much that you have to do to explain how those ones work, but there is certain ones that have some things that you have to do, like there's one where you have to form a perfect bond. Some of them you have to do critical hits. Now, usually if it has something where you have to do critical hits, generally that Loomian will have a certain move available to them, like examine, where they can examine and then the next move is guaranteed to be critical, or something like hydro slash, which has a higher chance of being critical. So usually if that is there in the mastery, they have some sort of move that helps deal critical hits more often. Now with mastery or forming a perfect bond, now that one's a little tricky. That one's kind of a pain. When you want to form a perfect bond with one of these guys, you have to, like this one right here, it says form a perfect bond. You have to basically move around with it, battle with it, move around with it, use it, let it level up. And once it's happy, you can see that your Loomians, when you're walking around with them, you can click on them and you can talk to them and see how they're doing. You can click E to talk to them. I guess mine doesn't talk to me. But when you want to, you can see how they're doing. And if they've got a big smile on their face, then they are very happy. At that point, right here, check. So you can see he's like, meh, whatever. But I haven't really been using him and battling with him a lot. He's kind of bored. So, but an ecstatic, super ecstatic smiley face at that point, level it up after that while it's ecstatic, and then it will form the perfect bond, so you guys can do that. So everything else is pretty self-explanatory. The Loomipedia, it just basically shows all of the Loomians that you've encountered. There's going to be the ones that you've encountered and the ones that you've actually befriended or caught yourself. Sometimes you'll see one, but you don't get a chance to encounter it until later in the game. So yeah, basically this is just the way that works. It's just going to basically list all the Loomians that you've encountered. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is navigation right here. So we already showed you how to get to the trade resort. Similar to getting to the trade resort, you can go to the battle Colosseum, and that is where you can go and battle against other trainers and the Loomians that they've gone against, and there's a lot to learn to mastery for that. We're going to give you some pointers on that as well. There's right here locations. Any of the locations that you've already gone to, you can just teleport to those places. Like we've been to Sylvan City, you just click on that and boom, use your watch and you're going to teleport to Sylvan City. So that is a much quicker, much easier way to get around. Of course, there's saddles, and we'll show you what you can do with that. One of the places that I like to spend some time, some places that you guys are going to end up spending a lot of time, Rally Ranch. So this is, again, a very special place. Next up here in the navigation is the weather tab. Now this one is fairly new. It shows it's kind of basically real time. So right now for me, it is actually 12:23. Now this moves with real time. So right now until 1 p.m., there's in Hiwa Cemetery, there's going to be heavy rainfall. Now during heavy rainfall in those areas, there's certain Loomians that you can encounter, like the Hydrini, but those are still pretty low chance of encountering. But it says right now that the Grubby is acting strangely. So if I go to the Hiwa Cemetery and I encounter a Grubby and I catch him, then that Grubby is going to have a positive personality trait, and it is likely to have 3 of its stats, its unique points, that are at 40, which is maximum. So there's a really good chance that you can also have a secret ability with that encounter as well. So that's a good time and a good place to try to encounter those particular Loomians if you're trying to go for a secret ability and for some pretty good stats to start off with. But again, you guys can still fare better when you rally your Loomians, so I still recommend that being the way to try to get exactly what you're looking for your team. All right, next thing we're going to talk about here is the items tab. The items tab here, there's a bunch of different tabs inside of here. The items, there's a bunch of different items. Now, we're not going to go over the details of every single one. They're all pretty self-explanatory, but there's a little thing right here that says exactly what they do. So Dark Essence, when it's held by a Dark type, it makes their Dark move stronger. There's a Heavy Shield. Most of these you can buy in the Battle Theater. We'll show you where you can go and do that here as well. So this will make its defense boosted, its range defense boosted. There's Plant Essence. There's some stuff that don't really do anything, like you want to inflict a burn. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. Mystic Wand, like this is something that only can be held by the Shachi. power cuffs. There's ancient scepters, which are used to evolve the pyramids. They all have different things. There's also some of these fossils that you can end up getting in the mining lab. And in the mining lab, you can use them to turn them into Loomians. There's also in the mining lab, you can find capture discs. And around there, you can also turn those into specific discs. So there's a bunch of different items, and they have all their different uses. The medicine, of course, pretty easy, simple, straightforward. The medical stuff that gives you some health. There's medium medicine, which gives you more health. There's paralysis potion for if you're paralyzed. It gets rid of this. Antidote gets rid of your poison. There's burn gel. So that is the meds, and that is the potions. Now, there's the gummies right here. Now, remember when we talked about the TP, the training points? When you go and you battle certain Loomians, then after the battle, you will get certain training points depending on the Loomian. But also, you can increase your training points by using gummies. And these are things that you can purchase at the Battle Theater shop as well. So gummies are just a nice, quick way to try to get your training points to where you want them to be. Now, these things, the shards, you get these by encountering corrupted Loomians. Once you've gone through the first gym, you've encountered your first Dusket. That is corrupt. You know exactly what's happening with the shards. Now, these can increase your UP points, your unique points. Now, that's harder because you can't just like battle things to increase those like your training points. These shards are pretty valuable, so use those wisely and sparingly. Of course, there is resets here as well. So if you have your training points too high on something and you don't have enough training points left, you want to get some of those training points back to put onto a different asset or a different thing. Like you've got a bunch of points in your range defense, but you want them to go to your melee defense. You can use a reset in order to reset those or bring them down to a smaller level than what they are at currently. All right, so that is the overview of the medicine. Now the discs. Of course, there's a couple different discs. We showed you the guy where you can go and buy these from. And over here, when we saw items, you see how we were talking about in the mining lab, you can get some of these void stones. There's a place over there where you can basically create certain types of discs. Now, for example, this Terra disc that we were able to create, this is really good at capturing Earth-type Loomians. Plain discs, of course, that is for typeless. And then there's other regular discs, the capture discs, the advanced ones, which have a higher chance of capturing them, hyper, which are even better, and then expert discs, which is mostly just for showing off, basically. Then right here, there's these move manuals. As you go throughout the game, you will get these move manuals. It's basically that you just get them as you move through the game. But each one has a different move, and only certain Loomians can learn certain ones. Like, for example, right here, Ill Will, I can teach it to the Joltooth and the Mutagon and the Cetamars, but not the Duskets or the Fan Cub. Rejuvenate, I can teach the Cetamars, but not the other ones. Dodge, I can teach to all of them. Flash and Flee, I can't teach to any of them. So there's certain types that you can teach to certain types of Loomians. So that is what the move manuals are. Just look at those if you want to know what the move does. It says right here exactly what each move does. Like right here, this is puts them to sleep. Also, we have fruits. For example, we've got power fruit, which we can use to make them level up, basically one level, which is helpful sometimes when you're trying to do some of the mastery. Then there's thunder fruits, which is another one which helps to evolve certain types of Loomians as well. And then there's key items. This is stuff like if you bought charms, if you end up purchasing a saddle, and if you end up having some batteries and certain things that you gain throughout the game, like a fishing rod. So that is that tab right there. As far as the saddle guy, see this guy right here? This guy sells you saddles. They usually cost Robux, or sometimes they cost the Loomian bucks, but basically a saddle makes it so you can ride one of your Loomians and move around a little faster when you press Q on the keyboard. So you can see how I've got the Dusket saddle on right there. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next tab. A lot of these next tabs are pretty simple and straightforward. This ID tab just kind of shows your ID, your information, how much coins you've got, your Loomipedia, your CP, and the medals that you've got. And then if you want to change your name, you can edit your name by clicking right there. Now, moving on here to Loomiboosts. The Loomiboosts here, you can purchase these. There's different ways to get Loomiboosts. You know how we looked at the crates? There's some that you can find around the maps in crates, some of them that you can get through mastery as you level up, and then of course there's the option to buy Loomiboosts. So you can buy 5 of them for 100 Robux and so on and so forth. Now when you use these, if different ones for different minutes for different things. Now if you want to have 16 multiple chance of getting a gleaming. There's alpha and there's gamma gleaming that you can get. Those are just rare in different colors. But if you want to increase your chances, then you can buy a boost. And then for 15 minutes, your chances are increased. But there's still no guarantee because all of this is RNG, random number generator. It's like rolling a dice. You still might not get it. But then there's boosts for roaming and corrupt, which are corrupted types. You can get the shards. The roaming are just rare encounters, usually about 1 in 1,000. Now you can make that times 4. Now, if you're trying to gain XP and you're trying to level up that really quick, you can get double XP, you can get double training points when you're trying to, or triple training points when you're trying to do that, and you can also boost your rally rate. Now, if you guys are wondering about the rally rate, then of course this is Rally Ranch. We'll go into the details here about the rallying here in just a second, but first we're going to show you here the options tab. This options tab right here, you can reduce your graphics if things are getting laggy. Sometimes you might end up spawning outside of a map or something and you get stuck. This is where you click on get unstuck and it will try to respawn you back inside of it. And then also your follow privacy settings, and if you want to have the objective showing there whenever you want. So I'm going to just have mine showing whenever it's new so it's not popping up there all of the time for me. So that is the options, and that is how you do all those tabs here at the top. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about here, very important, is rallying. So it's kind of nice that we've got this right here because sometimes you just want to grab something specific that you're trying to rally, and you're trying to rally a certain personality type for a certain type of Loomian. Now there's a lot going on here with the rallying. So let's say we've got this guy right here. We want to rally one of those. Now there's certain ones that we can't rally. This guy is the Rally Ranch advisor guy. I'm not sure what his name is, but anyways, this is the guy who helps you with rallying. He's going to help you with this whole situation. So you can click on yes. Now you have a rally leader and you have a rally assistant. Then down here you also have a toy, a feed, and a totem. Okay, so the rally leader. Now this is going to determine the type of Loomian that will be rallied. So if I put right here, say I've got an eaglet, then I'm going to rally more eaglets. Now, say right now I've got this one, smart, nimble, very frail. Looking at the Loomian table, we can see it's smart, so it's got boosted range attack by 10. It's nimble, so it's got its speed that is up by 10, but it's also very frail, which means its melee is down by 20%. So that is quite a bit there. Now, we have certain ways that we want to set this up. Very frail. Now, is that really bad? I don't know. If my melee attack is down, is it bad? Let's see. Right here, we've made this one. Its attack is at 71. Its melee attack is at 36. So, I'm looking at this one. I don't want this one to be a melee attacker. And you know what? I don't even care if its melee is low because I'm going to make this one a ranged attacker. So I'm going to emphasize as much as I can on the range attack. So right now this one hasn't been TP trained, of course. We've just done some rallying with this, guys. But you can see right here, I've got UP 40, 40, 20 here on this, which I don't really care about because I'm not going to be a melee attacker. 40, 40, 40, 40. I've got 40 across the board on all of those. And I've got the, very frail, smart, nimble, which is going to make it, it's going to make it pretty fast. It's at 60, so I don't know if that's even necessary really for the eaglet. It might actually be better to boost the melee defense on this. So a personality type that boosts the melee defense might be better, or something that boosts the health might be even better. So instead of nimble on this one, it might have been a better idea to have this one try to be, let's see, melee defense, a little bit more robust so that it can handle a hit from something that is dealing melee damage. So again, those personality types are up to you, what you want to rally. But as far as what's going to happen, see over here with the toys, we can see that these toys all have different things. Now, if you're just trying to get certain personality types and you're still trying to do that, I would say as far as the toys that you've got, I would go with, I think, the puzzle cube. So if you're trying to get like a certain personality type, the puzzle cube right here, it will rally Loomians that share a positive personality trait with the rally assistant. So say I'm trying to get this guy to be robust, you know. I don't want it to be, I want it to be, you know, these things, but I want it to have robust. So if I want that to be likely, then I put this here, and then a rally assistant, I would have a rally assistant that had robust as one of its traits. So right now this one doesn't, so it doesn't really help me out right there. Speaking of, your face, we're going to show you this guy, and he's going to help you with PvP. So that is the toys. So as far as getting the personality traits you want, I recommend just keep rallying over and over and over until you finally get the personality traits that you want. First thing I'd aim for, if you're going for a specific type of Loomian, go for the personality traits, okay? So use this and use your assistant to try to get certain personality traits on what you are rallying. Once you do have the personality traits that you need, then I would recommend use the yo-yo, because it says you will rally Loomians that have the exact same personality trait as the rally leader. So once you have the one that you want, go grab the one out of your deck that has the personality traits. Say, I wanted a very frail, I wanted a smart, I wanted a nimble. So finally I've got this. Now after this, I put the yo-yo in there. Now every single one that I rally is going to have those personality traits. So that's what I need. Now there's this one right here. This one is it will share a personality trait with the rally leader or assistant. So if you guys are trying to get certain traits, this one can help with that as well, just like the cube. But make sure that both of these at least have the traits that you're aiming for. But still, it's going to grab some of these traits at random. So you're going to have to rally a bunch until you get exactly what you're looking for. Now the bouncy ball right here says rally that shares a positive personality trait with the rally leader. Again, you can just do that and have, this is basically just like the puzzle cube, but it's going to pull a trait from the leader. But, you know, what I usually do is try to keep putting the ones with the leader over there and then rally the new trait that I'm trying to get from over here, because I think there's still already a fairly decent chance that it's going to have the trait of the leader. Anyways, okay, now we've moved on to the feed. So there's different types of feed that we've got here. Now, the Strawberry rally Loomians that share at least one UP with each rallying Loomian. So if you come here and this one's got a 40 here, and then this one's got a 40 here and here, then this one will, it's more likely to try to get the 40s. So the feed, okay, let's just say the toy is all about getting the personality trait you want. The feed is all about trying to get all of the UP stats that you need. So usually you've got that. You've got Blue Melon, which shares at least 2 UPs with each rallying Loomian, so that's even better. And if you do that, and you've got a lot of 40s here and a lot of 40s here, then that's a good way to do it. So you want to use Loomians that have 40s. Once you get one that has all 40 across the board, like this one, then it's a lot easier to use to try to rally ones with the 40. And then, okay, right here, this is one that I usually like to use. So this one, use at least 3 unique points from each rallying Loomian. So if you have one that has half of the traits, like here, 40, and then this one here has the other half of the traits, 40, then you're going to have even better chance of having 40 across the board. So generally, this is the feed that I like to use, and I have Loomians as the rally leader and assistant with 40s in there. So if you don't have one with 40 to use as a rally leader, just use an assistant that has as many 40s as you can use. You generally, roamings have 3 40 UP stats. So use that, get a new rally leader, go pull it out of your deck, put it in here, keep using that, pull it out, and then you're going to keep pulling out more and more that have better and better UP stats until eventually you have one with the UP stats that you want the most. Now sometimes, again, there's one stat that we just don't care about. For example, this one right here, where we don't care about the melee attack. So now we're going to talk about the totems. So the totems here kind of are about the spread of the personality traits that you can get. There's 2 totems here. There's the smiling totem and there's the scowling totem. So the smiling totem will let you rally 2 positive traits and 1 strong negative trait. So just like this one, how it's got very frail. So that is a strong negative trait, but 2 positive traits. Now, a lot of people like to go with that, and some people might want to go for different ones. Sometimes they want to go with a really, really strong positive trait and 2 negative personality traits. So it would be like very nimble, but it would also be, frail and sluggish, or not sluggish because that wouldn't make any sense, but it would have 2 negative personality traits instead. So like this one, very smart. This was very smart. So this one is going to have really, really strong moves that are range moves, because smart boosts your range moves. So this one is very smart, but it's also tender and it's foolish. So you can go for that. This is the scowling one. You got 1 very positive trait, 2 negative ones, and then you can see with the other one, you've got 1 very negative and 2 positive. So that's basically how you do the rallying, guys. You leave this guy here for a while, and then as time goes by, you will come to him and he will have some Loomians rallied for you. You can also, again, use these Loomian boosts, and it will make the time go in half, basically, if you use this, you can use one of those tokens for 20 minutes of that. Okay, eventually, while you're playing the game, you'll see a number above his head, and you can go and you can talk to him, and you can see what you've rallied. So you can take a look at over here, and we're going to click yes. We've rallied an eaglet. Now you can see that the personality type is the same because I've got the yo-yo on. So it's frail, it's tender, it's very clever. Oh, I actually don't think I have that one on. I don't think I have the yo-yo. I must have put a different toy in there. But here we've got some pretty good stats. You can see a lot of these stats it got from both of them. Energy is at 10, so that one was kind of random because you see it grabs 3 from one and 3 from the other, but then one of the other ones is going to turn up random. So you might have to rally quite a few of them first before you get the personality traits that you want, and then get the one that you want in there with the right personality traits. Put that one in there, and then you can. Oh, I think the problem was that I changed the totems that I had on here. So we can come in here. Let's see. We're going to take a look at him. If you want, you can, instead of looking at them, you can do no, and then you can just look at what you're managing to rally. So we can see right here, we've got the duck. So it actually used the personality trait with the rally leader and assistant. So I think we wanted a yo-yo so we could have exactly the same traits. We can see that we got, with this one, we can see that it shared unique points, at least 3 of them with each. Now this one right here, we didn't talk about the Wonder Beam. It will share 4 unique points with just the rally leader. So if just the rally leader has 4 points that are unique and you're trying to get it, but basically in order to finally get like the 40s all the way across the board, you have to use a tutti fruit and then hope that 2 of them just end up being 40 by themselves. And usually it's really low chance that that's going to happen. But generally there's, like I said, there's one trait that I don't care about. So I'm just looking for one, to be lucky for one of them to end up being 40. And then the one that I don't care about, based on the moves that I'm deciding, whether it's a ranged or a melee attacker, then I really don't care either melee attack or if it's ranged attack. So that is rallying basically in a nutshell. The next thing we're going to talk about, and the thing that becomes probably the most complex overall, is battling. So let's go to the battle theater. We're going to show you some of the stuff there, and we're going to give you some pointers. So in order to get to the battle theater here, though, go to hubs and then go to Battle Colosseum. All right, guys, this is the Battle Colosseum. Now, there's a lot of things that they're going to be adding here, like competitive and ranked and that kind of stuff, but that's not here just yet, but that's coming soon. Now, over here, this is where you can do 2v2 battles, so you can set up battles if you want to do 2 people versus 2 people. That's one way to do it. Then over here, on the right side, you can see this person with the 1. That shows how many you've got in your rally ranch. So that's how many you've rallied. These are the kiosks here if you want to go and find the Loomians that you want to use for battling. Now over here on the other side, there's these 2 shop owners. Now these ones over here, this guy is helpful in helping you forget a move. So if you want to learn a new move for one of your Loomians, this guy will help you forget one, so that this person over here can help you learn one of the new moves that they've forgotten. So there's also the ability to learn moves through rallying, and we're going to go over that a little bit here as well. But you can buy moves and this is only moves that you've learned previously through evolution that you've forgotten. Now this guy over here, this is the shop owner, the battle shop. So you can use Robux to buy CP, or you can get CP by battling and winning battles. The more battles you win, the more CP you get. But then you can spend the CP on gummies for training, for resets, so that you can do training. You can buy items that make certain Loomians stronger. These are just a bunch of these items that we talked about. Some of them are better for other ones, and some of them, you know, we've got like the ice essence, makes an ice type even stronger. But you can see, you can click on these and it tells you exactly down here what they do. You can buy thunder fruit, and you can also buy ancient scepters, and these all basically tell you what happens. But as far as doing your training and trying to set up for PvP, it's always nice to have items. They help give you a nice little edge over the competition. Now we're not going to go too deep into the PvP because there's a lot of complexities that are part of the PvP. You've got different moves. Each Loomian has different moves. Some of them are stronger against other Loomians than others. Some of them are weaker against other Loomians than others. Some of our moves we can learn through evolution. Some of them we can learn through rallying. Like right here, the moves. If I have an open move and then I put this here with the rally guy, then I can actually learn stuff through rallying. Like if let's see, we're going to not look at this. We're going to look at our management team. So if this assistant right here has like an open spot right here, say I don't have final ruse, it has an open thing. And this Loomian right here has a move that can be learned from the assistant. Then if these guys sit here for a while, then this guy right here will teach moves to this guy. Now, certain Loomians can only rally certain moves, so you can probably look online and like Google which one of these, or look on fandom, and you can try to see which moves you can learn, but that is how you do rallying. Now, when it comes to mastering PvP, which is battling against others, that is where it gets really complex. That's where the competition slips in. That's where you want to train your Loomians. You want to get their personality types. You want to have their UP stats as high as possible, their TP stats as high as possible. You want to have the right kind of moves for your team, and you want to put a team together that is versatile enough that you can deal with anything that you may encounter when you go PvP up against another player. Now, for PvP and learning PvP, I would recommend this guy right here, I Eat Your Face, I_Eat Your Face. He is a PvP master, and he is incredibly difficult to battle against, but he makes videos where he goes really in depth into how to use any particular Loomian. Like right here, how to use Colossotrops, and it's a 16-minute video that shows you how to use just that particular Loomian, and he's got lots of videos of this type. So if you guys are really getting deep into PvP, he tells you some really great tips. So I would recommend check out I Eat Your Face's channel, and he is just the PvP guru. All right, well, I know that was a long video, and it has been a lot here to cover, and there's still a few more small things here in the game to talk about, but as far as your first time and trying to understand what is going on here in Loomian Legacy, this video should give you a good overall guide and a good summary to help get you guys started. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask there in the comments. I will try to help you get your questions answered. And if you're new here, I would love to have you subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'll do live streams whenever there's updates here in Loomian Legacy, and we might be doing some battle streams and giveaways here in the future as well. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you guys later.